Andriel, welcome home. My sons informed us of your actions at Fornost. Such courage and resolve brings great honor to our household.
I am grateful for what you did at Fornost. If Agendaur's forces had joined in the hunt, there is little chance that I and my charges would have made it here to safety.
I am glad to have been of service. Will you tell me what befell you after we parted?
I found the hobbit Frodo Baggins and his companions and led them through the wilderness, hoping to throw the Nazgul off our trail. All the same, 5 of them attacked our camp at Weathertop, and Frodo was badly wounded. After that, the enemy pursued us almost to the hidden pathways of Rivendell itself. We never would have saved Frodo, except that we had the help of Elrond and his people.
It seems exceedingly strange that the most dreadful servants of the enemy would pursue a halfling in this manner.
I think it is time we told our newfound friends what they have gotten themselves into.
Mithrandir, I am happy to find you here, my friend.
Indeed, I am happy to find myself here as well. For like you, I have traveled a long and dangerous road to reach Rivendell. But I think your friends may know me better as Gandalf.
Are you going to explain all that has happened, Gandalf? I'm eager to learn why the enemy sent the Nazgul into the Shire.
You have more than earned such an explanation. Tell me, what do you know of Isildur's Bane?
I know nothing of this. What is Isildur's Bane?
Isildur's Bane is the Ring of Power, forged by the Dark Lord Sauron long ago.
Into this ring, Sauron bound the greater part of his power, but it has been lost for many hundreds of years.
Can it be that after all this time the ring has been found?
Quite right. After lying lost and nearly forgotten for centuries, Sauron's ring has once again been found.
The Hobbit? The one Aragorn rescued? He holds the Ring of Power?
This explains why the Nazgul have come north. But what will become of the ring now?
There is no safe resting place for the ring, not even here in Imladris. It is a danger to all who come near to it. There is only one course left to us. The ring must be destroyed.
To do so, the ring will need to be cast into the same fires from which it was forged. Those of Mount Doom, in the land of Mordor. The hobbit, Frodo Baggins, has agreed to take it there.
Surely you don't intend to send him there alone?
No, certainly not. A fellowship will be formed. A fellowship of 9. 9 walkers set against Sauron's 9 Black Riders. Among this fellowship will be representatives of all the free peoples of the world. Elves, dwarves, and men. Aragorn and I will both be going.
We have proven our worth in battle already. Let us add our strength to this fellowship.
The hope of the Company of the Ring lies in speed and secrecy, not in strength of arms. Their number must be few. Even were we to send 1,000 such warriors on this journey, it would do little more than arouse the wrath of the Dark Lord.
We are at your service. Tell me what we can do.
The Nazgul and Agendaur are dire threats. We must learn all we can of their movements before the Fellowship is to depart. Scouts will be sent out in every direction to scour the lands around Rivendell. Your aid in this would be of great service to our cause.
Very well. Where should we start?
Agendaur is our chief concern. Although the Nazgul are powerful foes, their mission here in the north is abundantly clear. We can only guess what Agendaur may be planning, or where he went after he escaped from you.
I suspect he may be planning to move against us here. Sauron's hatred of the elves is very great, and he does not forget the hand we played in his defeat during the War of the Last Alliance.
If it is strength he wants, he may well find it among the Etenmoors.
I know little of the Etenmoors. What can you tell me of this place?
The Etenmoors are a spur of the Misty Mountains, lying almost directly north of Rivendell. It is a wild region of very rugged terrain, home to many trolls and giants.
I myself was in the Etenmoors but days ago. I saw no sign of Agendaur's presence. But neither did I encounter trolls. That fact alone is troubling. It could be that they are gathering in force, somewhere among the moors.
We will travel to the Etten Moors. If the enemy is active there, we will know of it.
From what I have heard of you, from Aragorn and Elrond's sons, I expected no less. Still, you have had a long road and hard fighting to get this far. Take what time you need to rest and recover before you set out. The Etten Moors are a dangerous place for the unprepared.
The hospitality of my house is yours for as long as you wish.
Ah, Andriel. It is good of you to seek me out. Though I did not say so before, I am most impressed by your skills as a lawmaster, and by the courage you and your companions have shown.
The Dunedain kingdom of Arnor fell long ago. There is nothing left in much of the north save ruins. Why would Sauron build a force here?
Sauron seeks dominion over all of Middle-earth. His desire is to order all things as he sees fit. Even were these lands empty from here to the sea, still he would seek to control them. There is power in Rivendell that could stand against him when all others fall. For a time. And this is something Sauron cannot allow.
Of all those now threatened by the enemy, the Shire folk are the least able to defend themselves. Perhaps I am needed there.
I believe Elrond has made his wishes clear, Andriel. He knows you are needed urgently elsewhere. With the flight of the ring in this direction, the enemy is looking this way, and has forgotten the Shire for now. For now. But eventually his eye will turn once again toward the Shire, as humble as it is. Hobbits as miserable slaves would please him far more than hobbits happy and free. And there is such a thing as malice and revenge. Sauron will leave the final devastation of the Shire to his servant Agendaur. And that is yet another reason why you must find him and put an end to his designs. In opposing Agendaur, you are defending the Shire.
You may have heard that Belleron aided us at Fornost. Surely we could call upon the Eagles to aid in the matter of the ring.
I don't fault you for thinking along those lines. Why not beg a ride from an eagle, fly far out to the west, and drop the ring into the deepest part of the sea? Such ideas were debated at Elrond's council. But there are many things in the deep waters, and seas and lands may change. We cannot think of our time alone. We must destroy this thing forever.
Agendaur struck me as being older than he appeared. Have you ever encountered him?
Well, I know nothing of Agendaur himself. I have seen his kind at other times in distant lands. He is likely a black Númenórean, and a master of dark sorceries.
It was long ago, even before my birth, when those distant kin of the Dunedain fell into evil. If he comes of that bloodline, he is even more dangerous than I had imagined.
Who can say what promises Sauron has made to him? Perhaps even a ring of his own. At the very least, Agendaur expects to rule all of the north. He would be a cruel tyrant. The elves he will seek to utterly destroy. Hobbits, men, dwarves, any that survive, will be enslaved. And he will raise an iron kingdom in the north, in mockery of the ancient glory of Arnor. This is his dark dream. It must never come to pass.
When we first arrived, you said you recently passed through the Etten Moors. Is there more you can tell me?
It is a rough and empty land, home to many trolls. I passed through with great haste, for I needed to reach Rivendell as quickly as I could.
And yet you saw no sign of trolls?
I saw neither trolls nor fresh signs of them. And that disturbs me more than encountering one. I doubt they've all packed up and left. Mindless brute creatures they may be, yet they can be used and driven to even greater wickedness by a strong enough hand. Agendour could well be forming them into an army.
You believe he is mustering the trolls for an attack?
That is my fear. I would gladly be proven wrong, but my heart misgives me that somewhere in the Etenmoors you will find them gathering and being prepared for war. We must know. Such a force could be sent against Rivendell, perhaps in hopes of capturing the ring.
I will gather my friends and set out for the moors. We will see what we can learn.
Andriel, I'm glad you are here. I hoped I would have the opportunity to speak with you privately before you left for the Etenmoors. I wish to tell you how proud I am of what you accomplished at Fornost. You have brought great honor to our household. Indeed, all of Imladris is singing your praises. But I do not believe you have come merely to hear my thanks. Do you have questions for me?
I discovered this scroll at Fornost. It is tainted with evil, yet I thought it best you should see it.
A wise decision. This is writ in the black speech of Mordor, a language I will not utter here. It is intended to instruct the reader in the use of dark sorceries.
As repellent as these powers may be, could we not gain some advantage by making use of them ourselves?
Consider carefully what you are saying, Andriel. Have I not taught you why such a course would be the path of folly? This, like all works of the enemy, is altogether evil. Any who make use of this, even from a desire to do good, will only be corrupted by it. Surely the ring has taught us that much.
What can you tell me of the Black Speech?
A language devised by Sauron when he desired a single tongue to be spoken by all who serve him. He had small luck introducing it to the scattered tribes of orcs and trolls, but it is still used by his highest-ranking servants.
Then it is good we captured this from the enemy before it could cause further harm. What will become of it?
I will destroy this scroll at the very least. But wait, here I discover more. Listen to what is written herein. Scribed by the hand of Agendour, disciple of the great Lord Sauron, for the empowerment of his servant Wulfren and those others of his faithful who prove worthy. I will speak no more of these blasphemies, but it does say that this scroll is one of 7 such works.
So 6 more remain. Perhaps we might capture them as well.
That would be a great service to our cause. Should you recover them all, bring them to me, and I will ensure they are destroyed.
Would it not be better to destroy any I find immediately?
You will find that works of this sort are not so easily destroyed. There are strong wards placed upon them that protect them from mundane harm. But I have the necessary skill to remove these wards. Should you gather the remaining scrolls, bring them to me, and I will see them destroyed.
I will be certain to do so.
In the meantime, please accept this in appreciation for bringing this matter to my attention. Perhaps it will be of service to you in your travels.
Thank you, Master Elrond. Until I return home once more, farewell.
Greetings, Andriel. I am glad for the chance to speak with an old friend. Need keeps me away from Enladris, but my thoughts are often with those who dwell here.
I would like to know more about those chosen to be part of your fellowship.
Who is it that interests you?
What of Mithrandir, of Gandalf? The two of you are great friends. Can you tell me something of him?
To know all there is to know of Gandalf would require a lifetime study. There is much about him that remains a mystery, even to me. Yet he is a relentless foe of Sauron, and without his vigilance the ring would already be in the hands of the enemy. His wisdom and leadership will be of great value to the Fellowship.
You go now to claim your rightful place as the King of Gondor.
Above all, I go to help Frodo fulfill his quest. For unless the ring is destroyed, Gondor will soon fall, king or no king.
Good luck to you.
Greetings, Andriel. I am glad for the chance to speak with an old friend. Need keeps me away from Enladris, but my thoughts are often with those who dwell here.
It does not seem so very long ago that you dwelt here with us. But you have done and seen much since that time. You have grown, Estelle.
Indeed. I am no longer the shoeless boy you once taught to make flutes from river reeds.
So you remember that day?
Of course. I remember being amazed by your wisdom and skill, and thinking such knowledge must be why they named you a lore master.
There are great joys to be had from our friendship with the Dunedain, but there are sorrows as well.
Yes. Much like a man with a beloved dog is grieved by the knowledge that he will outlive his companion.
You should not make sport of me. It is not like that at all. For when I look at you, I also see your father Arathorn, and your grandfather Eredor, and all those who came before you whom I've known.
I envy you in that, for I never knew my father. Truthfully, I often feel like the lesser son of great sires.
This is not true. Elrond himself has said that he sees more of your revered ancestor Elendil in you than in any of those he has known over the ages that lie between you. There is a high doom upon you, Aragorn, son of Arathorn. I perceive that you will do great things.
We will soon know if you perceive correctly, Andriel. For the One Ring has been found, and I must go to war. A war from which I shall return a king, or not at all. Greetings, Andriel. I am glad.
I would like to know more.
Who is it that interests you?
What of this man of Gondor, this Boromir?
Boromir is the son of Denethor, the steward of Gondor. I had never met him before Elrond's council, but long years ago, under another name, I served his grandfather Ecthelion. The men of Gondor are valiant and strong, and by all accounts Boromir is foremost among them in courage and skill at arms. I suspect we will have need of his sword before our quest is through.
One elf at least goes with you on your quest. Tell me about Legolas.
It is fitting that we have a representative of the Eldar along with us. Your people have been foes of Sauron since before my ancestors returned to the shores of Middle-earth. The Elves of Mirkwood are constantly called upon to protect their realm from the many enemies that infest that wood. They are skilled warriors and unmatched archers.
What can you tell me of the dwarf, Gimli?
I have spent little time among dwarves, but Gimli is one of Durin's folk, and the dwarves of that line are trusted by Elrond, in spite of the differences that sometimes divide elves and dwarves. If Gimli is like most of his kin, he will prove loyal and stout-hearted, enduring in hardship and fierce in battle.
What of these other hobbits? Is it wise to send so many of the little folk on this quest?
We are asking much of Frodo. Until recently, he had never set foot outside the confines of the Shire. It will be a comfort for him to have the familiar companionship of his friends and kin in the face of so much that will be new and frightening. I have traveled with these hobbits, and they proved far more courageous and hardy than many would suspect.
Until we meet again. The shards of Narsil, sword of Elendil. Soon it shall be remade, and Aragorn will bear it to war.
Andriel, I thought I might see you ere long. Imladris is filled with tales of your exploits. I believe Lindir has even begun a song about them. But while battles can build a heroic reputation, they also break down equipment. You have need of my services.
What task is before you now, Angmir?
My fellow smiths and I are preparing for a great work. Soon we will be called upon to reforge the legendary sword Narsil. In the meantime, I've been sharpening my skills by practicing the art of imbuing gemstones.
What can you tell me of this sword, Narsil?
Narsil was the sword of Elendil, a mighty lord of the Dunedain who defied the Dark Lord in the War of the Lost Alliance. He bore the sword in battle against Sauron, but he was slain and the sword was broken. Since that time, the shards of the sword have been an heirloom of the House of Elendil. It was to remain broken until the day when an heir of Elendil would go to war to reclaim the crown and title of king. That day will come soon, and the sword must be made whole once again.
By imbuing, you mean the process of binding powers and virtues to an object?
Yes, clearly you have a good understanding of this art. As you know, gemstones are very strong vessels for this process. Sadly, appropriate gemstones have become difficult to find. The growing trouble throughout the land keeps travelers away, and our own people are staying closer to home.
Perhaps I can help you with that. I will be traveling soon.
I would be pleased to have your help. I will provide you with a list of the types of gemstones that are of the greatest value to me. If you collect the stones, I am certain I could create something that you would find useful. But to be of use, the gemstones must be of the highest quality. Fortunately, we have as a guest a dwarf of the Lonely Mountain. Glóin is his name, and he is skilled in the appraisal of gems of all sorts. Once you have gathered the stones, allow him to examine them. He'll know if they are suitable.
I have discovered some interesting relics of the Dunedain, Angmir. Perhaps you can help me with them.
Ah, these are work of Westernese, the lost land of Numenor. The men who forged these items were skilled indeed. You have the makings of a unique weapon here. Although these components were never part of a single work, I believe you have assembled everything I would need to make it so. The finished weapon would undoubtedly carry some elven qualities.
What do you mean by that?
Only that with a work such as this, the finished product is liable to reflect the nature of the smith who assembles it. If, for example, a dwarven smith were to complete this weapon, it might possess quite different qualities from the weapon I would create.
It seems fitting that an elven smith should do this task for me.
Very good. I will get started at once. There, it is finished. May this serve you well, my friend.
Something I have not seen in many a long year. An elf in Imladris I do not know. Welcome, friend. I am Andrea.
Greetings, lady. I am Legolas, son of King Thranduil of the Woodland Realm in Mirkwood.
Your pardon. I did not know I addressed a prince.
Yes, a prince. But please, there's no need to stand on formalities. We of Mirkwood seldom do.
Tell me about Mirkwood.
Mirkwood is the greatest woodland in all of Middle-earth. It was called Greenwood the Great, before the shadow of Sauron fell over it. In ages past, it was a place of great beauty. But now, it is filled with darkness and dread, save only in the north where my father's realm is maintained.
What brought you on such a long and perilous journey?
Unpleasant business. My father sent me to report the escape of Gollum, a creature Aragorn had entrusted to our care.
What can you tell me about this Gollum?
A pathetic creature who long held the Ring of Power. The evil of the ring has left him twisted and tormented. His only thought is to recover what was taken from him.
How did Gollum escape your guard?
Not from a lack of watchfulness, but perhaps from too much kindness. We occasionally allowed Gollum to go about the wood under close guard. But on one of these ventures, the guards were attacked by orcs from Dol Guldur. In the confusion, Gollum escaped. We followed his tracks southward for many leagues, until it drew near to Dol Guldur. There, it became too dangerous to pursue him any further.
What is this place, Dol Guldur?
A stronghold of the enemy in the south of Mirkwood. It was once the dwelling of the Dark Lord, until he was driven out in the year of the Dragon's Fall. But it has once again become a place of great evil. All the darkness that besets Mirkwood has its source in Dol Guldur.
Will you be departing for your home soon?
No. I have been chosen to represent Elvenkind among the Company of the Ring. I will be accompanying the halfling, Frodo Baggins, on his journey south.
I wonder why it is that with so many elves in his own household to consider, Elrond chose to make you a member of the Fellowship.
I asked for the privilege, and Elrond did not refuse me. I feel he may have been relieved not to lose any of his household to this quest. He will have need of all his strength, should the enemy move against Imladris.
I am curious why you would volunteer for this.
Partially to make amends for the loss of Gollum, but more so because this will be the final chapter in our long struggle against the darkness. And I wish to have a hand in our final victory, or at least to stand in the forefront of our last act of defiance.
May Elbereth guide you in the days ahead, Legolas.
And you as well, Andriel.
Hello there, Andriel. It's good to see you back safe and sound. I've heard all about what you and your friends did to help my Frodo and the Dunedain reach Rivendell safely. Oh, you'll have to tell me all about it one of these days so I can write it all down properly.
I am glad Frodo made it here safely. He is your heir, yet he is not your son?
Oh, no, he's not my son. Actually, he's my first cousin once removed. And also my second cousin once removed. Well, it's complicated, but we share a great-grandfather. The poor lad was orphaned at an early age, and so I adopted him. Made him my heir, all nice and legal, while simultaneously dashing the greedy hopes of my odious relations, the Sackville Baggins. He's a good lad, Frodo. I only wish he hadn't inherited my troubles along with my estate. I hope that Gandalf and the Dunedain will keep him safe in the days ahead.
So you have been keeping up with your writing. What is it you are working on now?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. History, my past adventures, family trees. I've even begun a book of translations from the Elvish, although lately I've been working on poetry mostly. Say, maybe you could help me with that. I'm writing a poem for Aragorn, and I'm a bit stuck on a line or two.
Is that so? Well then, let me hear what you have.
Very well, very well. The verse that's giving me trouble runs like this. The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled.
The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled. To do all sorts of good things?
Ah, yes. Well, poetry's not for everyone, is it? Perhaps you could show this to the Lady Arwen. She has her people's gift with words, and this touches her deeply after all.
Arwen? Do you really think this is something we should trouble the daughter of Elrond with?
Oh, you are too formal, my friend. Why, I'll have you know that the Lady Arwen has frequently helped me with my poetry, and she is one of the best sources of elven history. Her rendition of the tale of Beren and Luthien is especially moving.
I will take it to her.
Ah, thanks very much. Be sure to give her my compliments, won't you?
Happily. Farewell for now, Bilbo.
Andreil, my Govanen, it is good to see you safely returned. I am told you passed through many dangers to bring us warning of a new threat facing these lands. Estelle speaks highly of you, and my brothers praised the courage you showed at Fornost. I thank you for the part you played in their safe return as well. Rest now a while in the peace of Imladris. It is long since we sat and spoke of herb lore and other gentle arts.
It is a matter of the gentle arts that I bring to you. I have been speaking with Bilbo.
Say no more. I thought our people had a passion for poetry, but this hobbit may have put us to shame.
Bilbo seems most unusual for a hobbit.
Perhaps we know less of hobbits than we think. They have a strength within that is far greater than their stature. Though I have only just met Frodo, I see the same qualities in him. Bilbo resisted the evil of the ring longer than many we would have called strong. It sustained him, so that now he is very old amongst his kind. But it did not stain him, and it has not lessened his love of poetry and song. Dear old Bilbo, I do believe there is nothing he loves more, except a good meal. In that, he remains a true hobbit.
I have a poem of his here. He asks for your opinion and advice, for he says the subject is a matter very close to your heart.
Then I would guess it is another poem in honor of Estelle. Leave it with me, Andreil. I will give it some thought and answer him myself.
Bilbo will be pleased, I am sure. I would that I had more time for such arts, but Elrond is in need of my skills, and I fear I must leave for the Etenmoors as soon as may be.
Then I will not keep you. But perhaps we may be of service to one another. Your journey may solve a problem that has perplexed me. I am helping my father create a quantity of Miraval, and we may fall short of certain rare ingredients which can be found in the Etenmoors.
In all my years at Imladris, only once have I tasted the fragrant cordial Miraval. I remember how it renewed my heart and gave me fresh strength.
Yes, it is difficult to create and therefore precious. If I gave you a list of the ingredients, perhaps you could bring them back from the Etenmoors. I will set aside a flask for your own use when we have brewed it.
If I may be so bold, why is it that you prefer to use Estelle instead of Aragorn? His true name has long been known to you.
It is true that when first we met, he gave me his Dunedain name and lineage. Yet for the first 20 years of his life, he was known as Estelle. For he is the hope of his people. And hope, Estelle, he remains to me. In this war, Aragorn's fate is entwined with mine, to share his life and accept the doom of men. If our hope fails, the shadow will fall across Middle-earth and leave only ruin. Always he is in my thoughts. Even from afar, I watch over him and keep hope alive in my heart.
Then it is as I heard. You have made the choice of the half-elven, choosing to become mortal because of your love for Aragorn.
That is the gift given to my father's line, to remain of elvenkind and live forever in the undying lands beyond the Great Sea, or to accept a mortal life, both the sweet and the bitter.
You are guided by your heart, so you have made the correct choice, however painful it may prove for yourself, and for the others who love you.
In many ways, it does seem a choice between two separate sorrows. Even should Imladris endure this war, Elrond will depart. When he leaves, we will be parted beyond the end of the world. It is the price I must pay to bring love and hope to Estelle and the race of men.
I believe you said something about Miraval.
I am helping my father create a quantity of Miraval, and we may fall short of certain rare ingredients which can be found in the Ettenmoors.
In all my years at Imladris, only once have I tasted the fragrant cordial Miraval. I remember how it renewed my heart and gave me fresh strength.
Yes, it is difficult to create and therefore precious. If I gave you a list of the ingredients, perhaps you could bring them back from the Ettenmoors. I will set aside a flask for your own use when we have brewed it.
You are generous, lady. I will seek them out for you and return with them once my mission is completed.
My Govanen, Andriel. It is good of you to visit me again. My thoughts stray often to Estelle and my brothers, but also to you and your companions. I continue to brew Miraval, but I am concerned about our dwindling stocks. We still have need of those ingredients I spoke of before.
Are the Ettenmoors the only place where I might find them?
There is nowhere else they may be found without a journey of many months. For these rare ingredients, I am afraid you will need to search the Ettenmoors, but do so only if it does not risk your safety. You are more important to us than even a flask of Miraval.
I shall do my best to find what you need. Farewell, Lady Arwen.
Greetings! I hope the Lady Arwen will have some good suggestions for my verse. I'm really most eager to finish the thing.
Do all hobbits share your love of poetry, Bilbo?
Yes, I suppose so, although usually our songs and poems concern good food, good drink, and good humor. All those things we love the most. It's quite a bit different from what you find here in Rivendell.
Yet I have heard poems of a much different sort from you.
Well, one can't live long among the elves without some of their habits rubbing off, I suppose. Although I doubt I will ever match your people's appetite for music, poetry, and tales. You seem to like them as much as food, maybe even more.
I am glad Frodo made it here safely. He is your heir, yet he...
Oh no, the poor lad was... He's a good lad, Frodo.
The Dunedain? You speak of Aragorn?
Yes, indeed. I have called him that since the day he first told me about his heritage. A remarkable man, Aragorn, and a good friend. I almost wish that I could accompany him on his grand quest, but I'm far too old for adventures now. I only hope I will be spared long enough to write it all down.
Can you tell me how Frodo came to be in possession of the Ring of Power?
Well, yes, that was through me, I'm afraid. I found the ring by happenstance while lost beneath the roots of the Misty Mountains. I won it. That is to say, I took it from the creature Gollum. Of course, I did not know the full story of the ring until only a few days ago. I thought it was merely a magical bauble with the power to make the wearer invisible. I only used it to avoid unwelcome visitors. Imagine that old ring of mine causing such a fuss. I would gladly take charge of it again if that would help. Oh, yes. Gladly. Yes. You know, I think it would be best if we discussed something else.
I should like to hear this poem of yours one day, so I will leave you to think in peace. Farewell, my friend.
Well met, friend. It's an honor to make the acquaintance of one of Thorin's valiant companions. I'm Glóin, son of Glóin from the Lonely Mountain.
And one of Bilbo's companions in the quest to slay the dragon Smaug. I remember seeing you when Thorin Oakenshield's company stayed with us here in Rivendell. I am Andriel, a lawmaster of Elrond's house.
I heard about that business at Sarn Ford, and they say the three of you brought down an orc chieftain at Fornost. I expect I'll be hearing of even greater deeds before long. It does my heart good to see a dwarf, an elf, and a man working together again. Reminds me of the old days, it does, when the three kindred fought alongside one another in the Battle of the Five Armies.
Then you approve of my alliance with Thorin?
I will speak plainly. I may be less than fond of King Thranduil's wood elves for keeping me in their dungeons, but I've no grudge with any of Elrond's folk.
I have heard when a dwarf bears a grudge, it is set in stone. But I believe this grudge against the wood elves should have been put aside long ago.
You're right, of course. I can be a stiff-necked old dwarf, but it's time to set aside grievances that were long ago repaid. When dwarves, men, and elves fought together at Erebor, we overcame legions of foes. But we face a far more terrible enemy in the Dark Lord. Standing together against Agandaur may be more than just a good idea. It may be our only hope to save the North.
Sauron's attention will be focused largely on the south. If we thwart his plans here, he will be distracted. That could prove a benefit to the Ringbearer.
That's my thoughts upon the matter, too. Be the stinging fly in the ointment, as it were. Only this fly's sting will be deadly. And it's time to be about your business. Goodbye, and good luck to you. Oh, hello again. Don't mind me. Speaking with you got me dreaming of the old days. Dwarves, elves, and men fighting against orcs and goblins. Those were glorious times.
We must not forget the great eagles. They have been a great help to us, just as they were to you and your companions.
Well spoken. Thorin's quest and the Battle of Five Armies would have met disaster without the help of the eagles. You're fortunate to have gained the friendship of such noble creatures. Your life may well depend upon your choice of friends, whatever kindred they be.
I must prepare for travel. Farewell, Glóin. It is long since so many dwarves have graced the halls of Imladris. Who might you be?
Gimli, son of Glóin, at your service. I've heard your name spoken with great praise. That was fine work you did at Fornost. Not bad at all for one of Thranduil's folk, who are more accustomed to stealth in the forest than open battle. But after all, you had the help of my kinsman Farin. I heard he played a valiant part.
And so he did. But your wits fail you, Gimli, son of Glowing, if you cannot tell a wood elf from a member of Elrond's house.
Ah, well, no offense meant, but there are Mirkwood elves about in the halls, and they are the kind most familiar to me, being our neighbors and allies. Any elf of Elrond's house is a friend of mine and my kin. I am honored to be a guest here amongst the wise.
Oren spoke no word of more kin following him. What brings you such a distance to Imladris?
Aye, it's a long march from the halls of Erebor, but grim news goes on swift feet. It was for Bilbo's sake we came, with a warning that the servants of Sauron wished to find him and his ring. Thrice a Black Rider came to the front gate of Erebor, demanding news of Bilbo, and threatens to return once more. Ere that should happen, King Dain sent my father, Glowin, to seek the advice of Elrond. You've heard the results of the council? I see you have. I have sworn to protect Frodo upon his quest, an oath I will fulfill though all the orcs of Middle-earth stand in my way.
When you speak of a Black Rider, my mind is filled with the horror of the Nazgul. Was it such a fell messenger that came to your door?
Not one of the Nazgul, I think, but it was a fell servant all the same, who spoke in a voice like the hissing of snakes. What sort of man can serve the enemy willingly, even gladly, is beyond my understanding. More cruel than any orc he struck me, full of venom and lies.
You could well be describing Agandar, for he is such a servant.
Could it be so? Perhaps. It is enough that we will not be deceived by promises from Mordor ever again. The only way the Dark Lord gets his ring back this time is when it's tossed into the fires of Mount Doom.
Elrond has tasked us with a mission to scout the Ettenmoors. But what is it that worries you about the North?
I like not what I've heard of this Agandar you drove from Fornost. He could yet cause grief untold. There are rumors of gatherings of orcs, goblins, and other deadly foes growing in strength. When the Dark Lord strikes, there will be more than one land that feels his wrath. I fear for the Shire and Rivendell. It would ease my heart to know that you'll look to the defense of the North for as long as you're needed. With help from Faran, of course.
Whatever Aradan and I, and the most esteemed Faran can do, we shall do. You have my promise.
Well met again. I wish the scouts would hurry about their business. If we wait much longer, we'll have the snows of winter to hamper us.
Elrond has tasked us with a mission to scout the Ettenmoors. But what is it that worries you about the North?
I like not what I've heard of this when the Dark Lord strike, with help from far.
Whatever
Well met.
Elrond has tasked us with...
I like not when the Dark Lord, with help from far.
Whatever
Well met again. I wish the scouts would hurry about...
I have heard much about Erebor from Bilbo. Were you there at the downfall of Smaug?
Sadly, no. I was far to the west in the Blue Mountains where I was born, for my father deemed me too young to join him on Thorin's quest. But once the dragon was destroyed, I hurried with many of my kin to settle there. I've labored some 70 years to restore what was lost and helped build anew the city of Dale from the ruins of the Dragonfire. I've seen the bones of Smaug upon the lake bottom where he fell. Did you know that Bilbo exchanged riddles with the dragon? Now that's a tale he should tell you. We owe much to that fine old hobbit.
What do you know of Frodo?
I know only that he is Bilbo's adopted heir, and that he is chosen of his own free will to bear and destroy the ring. That's all I need to know. I'll protect him to my final breath if need be.
I must attend to my mission. May the stars shine upon your path.
Farewell, and may you kill many orcs. Keep account, and we'll compare numbers when I return.
The sun shines and all is fair and peaceful here in Imladris. A far cry from the blood and dust of Fornost, is it not? The valor you showed there brings honor to all our folk. I'm only sorry you will have so little time here at home before setting out once more.
How was it you happened to be at Fornost?
You know how bitter is our hatred for the orcs since our mother's ordeal. We often ride far afield hunting them. We came upon signs of a large band of goblins making their way from the orc hold of Mount Gram and followed their trail to Fornost, where we lost no time in attacking them.
How fares your sister, the Lady Arwen?
She is well, although weighed down with care. It is hard for her to be so soon parted from Aragorn, her beloved, but such is their fate.
Farewell, friends. May good fortune accompany you.
The sun shines and all is fair and peaceful here in Madras. A far cry. I'm only sorry you will have so little time here at home before setting out once more.
I trust I can speak to the usual stewards concerning preparations for my journey.
Ilari will help you with any goods and provisions you may require, while Angmir will gladly tend to your arms and armor. Both of them may be found nearby.
Farewell, friends. May good fortune accompany you.
Andriel, welcome home. It is good to have you back. I have already heard tales of your exploits. All of Imladris is proud of what you have done. Oh, but I forget my duties as steward. You have been through many bitter battles. Are you in need of new arms or equipment?
It is good to be home once again, Ilari. How fares Imladris in my absence?
Less serene than usual, I fear. The servants of the enemy came almost to our very doors in pursuit of the hobbit Frodo Baggins, but he was saved by the valor of Aragorn and the arts of the Lord Elrond. But you know more of this than I.
And Frodo? He came through all this peril in safety?
He was gravely injured by one of the evil weapons of the enemy. It was thought that he would not survive, but Elrond's skill as a healer is unsurpassed. He saved his life, much to the relief of Bilbo.
So Frodo is dear to Bilbo?
Oh yes, he is his nephew and heir. Bilbo hardly left his side during the long days that Elrond tended him.
Were the Nazgul that pursued Frodo destroyed?
I do not know, but my heart tells me they were not. Elrond will be sending out many scouts to learn what they may of the fate of the Nazgul and the movements of the enemy. I have been told to prepare supplies for them.
Hello. You are Andriel, aren't you? I was hoping I would get a chance to speak with you.
And you are Frodo Baggins. Aragorn and Gandalf have told me about you. And your burden.
Likewise, they have told me all about you. I wanted to thank you and your friends for all you did to keep us safe on our journey to Rivendell.
You are most welcome, Frodo. It is only now that we have learned just how vital our task truly was. I am pleased we were able to be of service.
It seems as if I owe everyone thanks. You, Aragorn, Elrond. Without the help of each of you, I wouldn't be here now.
It is we who should thank you. To have come this far through so many perils shows a great deal of courage.
Thank you for saying so, but I don't feel brave, just very fortunate.
Bravery has many faces, Frodo Baggins. You have chosen a path that leads to Mordor. Few have ever shown such courage.
I'll try to bear that in mind. I only hope I can measure up to everyone's expectations.
Will you tell me about your journey here? Clearly it was not an easy one.
We had trouble almost from the start. The Black Riders were always just behind us, and we nearly met disaster in the Burrow Downs, at Bree, and again at Weathertop.
You passed through the Burrow Downs? I know what you faced there. You are fortunate indeed to have escaped. That is no place to wander.
You seem to know a great deal about the Burrow Downs already. I'd prefer not to speak about what we found there. It is too horrible to dwell on, even here in the safety of Rivendell.
What befell you in Bree? We must have just missed crossing paths there.
There were spies in Bree, and our room was attacked in the night. If Strider hadn't convinced us to sleep elsewhere, our journey would have ended then and there.
I am familiar with the ruin known as Weathertop. What happened there?
We were attacked by 5 of the Black Riders. I was foolish, and I put on the ring. One of them wounded me before Aragorn managed to drive them away. The knife that was used against me left a shard in the wound. From what Gandalf has told me, the fragment was working its way inward. If it had reached my heart, I would have become a wraith under the power of the Black Riders. Fortunately, we were able to reach Rivendell in time for Elrond's healing arts to save me.
It is a little thing, this ring, but filled with mischief. Will you show it to me?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, but Gandalf and Elrond have warned me against revealing the ring to anyone, even proven friends. I hope you understand.
Yes, I believe I do begin to understand. It was wrong of me to ask. I beg your pardon.
There is nothing to forgive. But the ring, it has a strange effect on everyone around it. It is better for it to remain hidden.
It is indeed a heavy burden you bear, Frodo. May you find strength and wisdom on the long road ahead. Farewell.